Hi, I'm Suzanne, a Stampin' Up demonstrator in Canada. Welcome to another Paper Pumpkin alternative video on my blog and YouTube channel. If you are a present customer of mine and are watching this video, you might be considering the Paper Pumpkin kit. Please find the link below to see the perks I offer my subscribers. Or, if you don't have a demonstrator and live in Canada, I would love to earn your business. So please check the link below for more information. I want to take a minute here and address a topic that has come up this month. I've had a crazy amount of people email me, Facebook me, private message me about why my Paper Pumpkin video was late this month. I want to express to everyone that my monthly Paper Pumpkin video does not have a specific date that it airs. If the video airs a week after I get the kit, that means I've had time to work on it. To make everyone understand, this type of video takes between 3 to 5 hours of filming and about 2 hours of editing. If I don't have 7 hours of time to do this video, it doesn't get done. This last month has been a gong show in my private life, and as much as I'd like to provide inspiration for my Paper Pumpkin subscribers, it was impossible to carve out the time until now. I would like to mention that not one of the messages came from my Paper Pumpkin subscribers, so I feel that I haven't let them down or provided any bad service to them. I'm just like everybody else trying to balance work and private life. Thank you so much for understanding. I really love the videos are inspiring others, and I want to thank you for watching. I appreciate your thumbs up, all your positive comments, and of course your business. If you're looking to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, there's a deal going on right now. So here's a look at the Paper Pumpkin for March 2018. I'm just going to show you our free gift that we got because it was Paper Pumpkin's 5-year anniversary or birthday, if you will. These are wooden embellishments. They're wood on one side and white on the other so that you can color them as you wish. So the Paper Pumpkin this month was very sort of vintagey, like old-fashioned-y, it had that feel anyway. And of course, these are lovely little envelopes that you would put seeds in. So I thought it was a super cute kit. It's a very, it is kind of my style. I don't mind doing the old vintage kind of feel cards. A very kind of mixed media-ish to me. This is how I would normally do a mixed media project. There would be lots of layering and lots of dimension, and my mixed media does have a tendency to look a little bit vintagey. All right, so I cut apart one of those seed bags, and the sizing was 3 3/4 by 5 3/8, and I also cut down a vanilla card base. So what I did was fussy cut the rows out, and now I'm sort of using my stylus to burnish it so that it has a textural feel to it. It's almost like paper twilling, or I don't know if that's the right word. You can use the back of a pen, something just with a round shape, and you just want to go in a circular motion and give the paper, it's quite thick paper, so it can handle a little bit. And you do need a squishy surface, so I'm using my piercing mat, or I call it my stamping mat. So this was the very vanilla thick card base that I cut down, and it was I just eyeballed it to size on my card front here. So I'm using Fast Fuse to adhere this beautiful card front to the very vanilla card base, and then I doubled up on my dimensionals, and look at these. We got a whole page of dimensionals in this kit. Was pretty special right there. So I'm hoarding those because they're double the thickness of a normal dimensional, so they are quite high. So I doubled up on the ones behind the rows, so this card has lots of dimension. All right, so I previously stamped that Happy Mother's Day in the early espresso ink that came with the kit. And I wasn't really 100% happy with it, so I did rip it a little bit, and now I'm rounding the corners, and I'm backing it with one of the die cuts that came in the kit. And I had stamped that thinking that that would go with the card, but actually this turned out so much better. I was really happy. I really like that torn paper look. And it just looks like a lovely little frame. Like it looks like shabby chic. It's totally shabby chic. 2 dimensionals on the back of that, and that card is done. I have 2 stills for you to check out so you can see some of the dimension. Now, for those of you that did not like the vintage shabby chic look, this card is for you. These are those wooden die cuts that came in the kit as our free gift. So I have punched them out of their wooden little bits, and now I'm using my dauber. I have a dauber collection, if you will. And I sponged Lemon Lime Twist for the leaves, and then I went in with Emerald Envy, which is one of the colors that is going to be retired at the end of May. So if you don't have re-inkers for that, don't get stuck. Get your re-inkers and your ink pads for these colors now. And then I used, there's a little bit of powder pink, there's some berry burst, there's a little bit of Peekaboo Peach. Did I say Flirty Flamingo? Flirty Flamingo. I'm using all of my daubers from the In Colors, except for, I think this was the pumpkin one, Pumpkin Pie, for the center of that rose. And I put the roses on some adhesive sheet. And I kind of made a sticker out of them. I like using dry adhesive as opposed to wet adhesive for these kinds of die cuts. So I have stuck them on the adhesive sheet and just basically made a sticker of them. You do have to take a pokey tool and kind of like here I'm peeling it away and then I'm poking in because the adhesive is pretty strong and you have to kind of break it in the petals of the flowers. So, and you know, you just take your time and take all the little, you know, you get like little goobers really of adhesive. But I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to run the risk of getting stuck in the envelope. And that is my worst fear, taking, you know, 45 minutes to make a card and then send it off to somebody and it's stuck in the envelope because the glue that you've used is making it stick to the inside of the envelope. So I used the Early Espresso ink and just, it's real simple, just this. I added a couple of the pearls that came in the kit and that is the card. Okay, the third card is a lesson in masking. I'm using the flower stamp and the leaf stamp, and as I am looking at this video again, I noticed that I probably didn't have to use the Memento ink for the leaves. I probably could have used a green ink for the leaves so that the leaves didn't look so dark. That's the only thing I don't like about this card, is that when it's all colored, the leaves look a little dark. All right, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm stamping and masking, stamping and masking. So basically the one flower that I stamped the first is going to be the one that is full and complete, and it's going to look like it's in the foreground, not the background. Everything that stamps behind it or after that first flower that I stamped is going to look like it's behind that flower. So lesson in masking, and I used a full sticky post-it note. You can get that at Staples. I've had people ask. That's where I got mine. I love going into all the paper stores or office supply stores. I find lots of really interesting items there. It's not just for office supplies. They do have a little crafting section too. I think they're getting the hang of it, that us crafters go in there and look for 3M products and look for, you know, full stick-it adhesive tape and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm just stamping and masking, and I plan to color these with my Blends alcohol markers. So I know that there's a bit of a pickle right now because we can't order the alcohol markers anymore until the new catalog launches. And it is a bit of a pickle because, you know, it's a medium that I really like to use. I find the colors are very bright, and the neat thing is that it gives you the opportunity to create depth without ruining your picture, without the paper pilling and that sort of thing. But you could use pencil crayons, you could use crayons, you could use watercolor pencils, you can use whatever coloring medium you have in your home. Just because I'm using Stampin' Blends, please don't give me a thumbs down, because you know, it's what I have and it's handy in my craft room. So eventually we will be able to order the Stampin' Blends again. So it's the, you know, it's the way it is. So I finished coloring and I adhered my card front panel to the rich raspberry card base that came in the kit. So I made it a panel out of the base, just using a little bit of fast fuse to adhere everything to the Whisper White thick card base. I have mentioned that when I do my videos, I have a tendency to use Whisper White thick as my card base. So if you had wanted to reproduce the alternatives that I'm supplying here, for your inspiration, that it's something that is kind of a must. So I would go and pick up a bit of Whisper White thick card stock so that you can create the same card if you want. This is just for inspiration though. You know, you do what you want. This is the ideas that I came up with. So I used the little die cut that was in the kit and stamped Happy Mother's Day. I did fuss with that banner a little bit, but I thought it came out really lovely. A nice lesson in masking. All right, moving on. Here I have a thick Whisper White card base. I'm also using my T ruler. It is just a ruler that butts up and gives me a nice straight edge. All right, so now I'm taking my ink, early espresso ink, and stamping that little embellishment. What would you call this? A scroll, a thingamadoo? Anyway, and it has dots. So I'm lining up the dots on that line so that I get a nice... It's a filigree, a nice filigree edge. Then I took my little scissors, and I love these scissors. These are super sharp. And I took my time and gave a little white border around the flourish. And I am fussy cutting that flourish out. So basically that card edge is going to have a really unique edge. It's very on the vintagey side. It has that, I don't know, it's like Frenchy. It's a very Mother's Day card-esque. It's, yeah, I really liked the flourish in this. And I felt that a lot of times flourishes get overlooked. You know, they underline maybe a sentiment or something like that, and a lot of people don't have a tendency to use it in the card design. So this is one way that one could use the card design or the flourish in a card design. So eventually here I'm going to move forward. All right, so I'm erasing the pencil line with my eraser. Make sure that your ink is dry before you erase anything. So on the inside of the card, I'm putting a strip of fast fuse right to the edge. And there is purple ribbon that came in the kit. And I'm adhering that to the inside of the card and snipping off the excess. As long as you have adhesive to the very, very end of the card, the ribbon will not fray. So there is these Rosebud Die-Cuts in the kit, and these were kind of separate and apart from the very large cluster of flowers. I didn't know what necessarily to do with the cluster of flowers, so I didn't use it. I figured it out myself. So I'm using these buds, and I've adhered them with fast fuse, and now I've inked up the sentiment that says, "May good things grow all year long," which I thought was lovely, and put that on dimensionals. And then I did cut one of the flowers in half. I tucked, I'm just using it to cluster. So I've adhered a couple flat, and this one's on dimensionals, and then that one is fast fused just right behind. So it looks like more flowers than I actually have. And then I put the soft pink pearls on the card, and that is that card done and complete. That's a Mother's Day card if I ever saw one. Okay, so for the very last card, I have decided to go total vintage. There was some crumb cake card bases in the card kit, and I again have cut that down to a manageable size. I'm using, see this like little pink thing? I've got this at the dollar store. It's a piercing mat. I refuse to use my Stampin' Up piercing mat to pierce because I'll ruin it if I pierce it. So I just picked one up from the dollar store oh so long ago, and that's what I used to pierce. And I even cut it down. It was the same size as the Stampin' Up one, but I've cut it down to a more usable size. So this is my piercing mat. So funny. I probably should buy two. I should have one for piercing and one for stamping, but you know, I was a crafter for a long time before I actually was a Stampin' Up demonstrator. So I have a lot of leftover crafty items that I've bought from this dollar store and that sort of thing. All right, so I'm using a sponge here, and I have edged the edges of this card base, card front with the brads. And look at all the dimensionals I'm using, and I don't even care because we have a whole sheet of dimensionals. They're so nice. And then this was the seed packet, and I'm just using the piece of cardboard that came in the kit, and I'm using it like a ruler, and I'm cutting down now that seed packet. It was really thick in my trimmer, and I didn't like the way it frayed. So that's the reason why I'm using my scissors and just a ruler basically. And every time that I pull out my trimmer doesn't mean that you have to. You can use your scissors too if you are a careful cutter. But sometimes, like in this case, it's just easier and you get a smoother cut if you use a trimmer. Anyway, I've put dimensionals on the back, and then I actually darkened up the edges a little bit. Everything that was not cut by me, so factory cut edges, were inked with my sponge. And the edges that I cut with my scissors, I left alone. All right, so I've adhered that to my card base. And now I've taken one of the wood embellishments and I've inked it up with my ink, and it says, "What a beautiful friendship we've grown." And now I fussy cut these roses out and cut them apart to be able to place them where I want to place them. Very lightly placing them on my card base. And you can see I'm not pressing anything down because I don't know the placement yet. And my wooden embellishment, I'll put dimensionals on and pop that up. But that's the placement I like, so I've tapped that down. 2 dimensionals, 3 dimensionals on the back of this wooden embellishment. And then I am putting it at an angle on the card. And then I'm using glue dots to adhere a ribbon in behind. This had to be one of the last things to do. You couldn't do it before because it's all about the look. So I'm started at one end and fiddled and fiddled and fiddled, twisted that ribbon, made it basically obey the laws that I wanted to obey, and not the laws of gravity, really. So I twisted it. This is that vintage, the shabby chic look. This part of a mixed media thing too. I don't know. I love the look of the ribbon, but not all fancy. Like, let's put the ribbon on haphazardly, make it look like it's kind of just hanging out. So nothing too contrived, even though it took a while to figure out the placement for this. And I'm using my glue dots. You can use the glue dots in the kit. I just find for speed of video that it's a lot easier to use a glue dot. All right, so I flip the card around, cut off the excess, and that is the card. I'm going to add some basic pearls here, the dark rich raspberry ones. And then also I will take a wink of Stella and go over the large rose, the rosebuds, and with wink of Stella. And that actually, wink of Stella has been refilled. It just has water in it and it still works fine. So those are my cards for today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon. Bye. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. On screen are 2 more videos for inspiration. Click on the maple leaf to visit my website, or click on me to subscribe to my channel. Thanks again for watching.